Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we sift through your sources, to really uncover the essential insights. Today, we're embarking on a fascinating deep dive into the interconnected world of citizenship and social ethics. We've been given some truly thought-provoking material here. It's a collection of reflections, questions. They really peel back the layers of what it means to be an ethical individual. And a contributing citizen, too. It spans everything, really, from everyday personal dilemmas right up to those big global challenges. So our mission today, let's try to uncover the universal principles woven through these personal insights. We want to understand how individual ethics, inevitably intersect with broader societal and global responsibilities, and really grasp just how profoundly interconnected we all are. It's quite something when you look at it that way. So, okay, let's start at the most fundamental level then. How do we respond? How do you respond when you encounter something unethical in daily life? Our sources suggest the first step is, well, to thoughtfully evaluate the situation. Makes sense. And then crucially, to summon the courage to act with integrity, to actually do something. There's a particularly vivid example in the material about a situation in a school canteen. Someone tried to cut in line. The person reflecting on this, they chose a quiet, firm approach. Just said, it was our turn, could you please wait? And what really strikes you here, what the source underscores, is this powerful idea that silence can sometimes be complicity. Mm-hmm. It's not just about what you do, but maybe what you don't do. And this next point offers a really compelling perspective, this idea of doing the right thing, even when absolutely no one is watching. Our source shares a powerful anecdote, finding a lost wallet in a busy market. And despite that fleeting internal thought, maybe keep the money. The right choice was made. Turned it over to market staff. The profound satisfaction that came from this action and the insight that doing the right thing brings inner peace, well, that truly resonates, doesn't it?
It does. And what's particularly revealing in these personal accounts is how they really illuminate that internal struggle we often face. And the understanding that authentic ethical action, it often springs from an internal moral compass. It's not just about external observation or hoping for a reward. This points to a deeper kind of virtue where your character guides your behavior. It really underscores the ripple effect, Even seemingly small, honest decisions can have a significant impact, shaping our own character and potentially influencing others.
Mm-hmm. So as you listen, maybe take a moment to consider times in your own life where you faced similar choices. What personal examples come to mind for you? Where did you feel that kind of internal tug? Okay, let's transition now. Let's pivot to a very contemporary challenge. How do our ethical principles translate into the digital world? Our sources highlight a really crucial area of concern here: personal boundary violations on social media. These often happen without maybe malicious intent, but the impact can still be significant. There's one specific example describing someone sharing an unauthorized photo. It was of a friend sleeping during a school camp. The reflection offered here is quite powerful. What's funny to one person can be embarrassing to another. Simple truth, really. But it's so easily forgotten, isn't it, in the fast pace of online sharing? And this incident leads to a really pivotal ethical question. The source suggests we should ask ourselves this before every online share. Would I like it if someone did this to me? It's that foundational principle of empathy, right? But applied specifically to this unique digital context.
Exactly. And building on that point, this really spotlights the vital challenge of translating those real-world social skills, empathy, respect, consent, into our digital interactions. The ease with which digital boundaries can be, crossed, either inadvertently or intentionally, it suggests that a foundational understanding of respect is more critical than ever, and precisely because the consequences of online actions can spread so widely, so quickly. It's not just about legality, it's about ethical responsibility.
So moving on slightly, is being a good citizen just about, sticking to the rules, following the law? I think most of us would intuitively say no. And our source strongly supports that feeling. It argues good citizenship extends far beyond just mere compliance. It emphasizes key characteristics, things like empathy, a deep respect for others, and even taking an active role in protecting our environment. The sources offer some quite compelling examples. Think about volunteers in a community cleaning campaign, actively setting an example, or the simple yet profound act of giving up your seat on public transport to an elderly person. We've all seen that, or hopefully done it. Or even just the daily habit of diligently separating waste. These small actions, the material argues, they collectively make a substantial contribution to the fabric of society. The core insight here seems to be that being a good citizen isn't passive, it's an active responsibility. It means we deliberately act for the benefit of society driven by an inner conviction, not just, to avoid getting into trouble.
That's a key distinction. It really prompts us to think about the difference between passive compliance, just not breaking rules, and active, engaged contribution. It highlights that a truly good citizen isn't just law-abiding, but proactive. They're continuously considering their broader impact on the community. And these seemingly minor actions, when you multiply them across a population, well, they create significant ripple effects. They shape the collective environment, the culture. It's about moving from a don't do bad mindset to more of a do good imperative.
Okay, let's consider why respecting individual rights is so absolutely crucial for a society to function well. Our sources highlight that when everyone understands and, importantly, respects the principle of equal rights, it fosters a sense of peace, security, too. It allows people to feel more at ease, to trust their environment. There's a pertinent example from a school event. A student voiced a different opinion, and initially this drew some negative reactions from peers. The insight gained was crystal clear. If we fail to respect differing viewpoints, the environment quickly becomes tense, stifling even. The teacher's intervention was key, reminding everyone of the right to free expression. It really underscored how important protecting this right is. So the takeaway: disregarding rights can lead people to feel suppressed, and that profoundly disrupts social peace, open discourse. Now, what's truly fascinating, I think, is how one person's actions can just reverberate, how they can affect an entire community or even broader society, like a stone dropped in a pond, creating those ever-widening circles. The sources provide some powerful illustrations here. A politician taking a bribe. That doesn't just affect them personally. It, and I quote, shakes the public's trust in the state. It erodes the very foundation of governance. Or think about a student chewing on an exam. It undermines their own integrity, sure, but it also devalues the legitimate efforts of every other student. There's a specific anecdote about a student who copied homework. Yes, they got a lower grade, but more significantly, there was this profound loss of trust from classmates, from the teacher. The central idea, then, is that ethical behaviors have not just personal, but profound societal consequences. Why? Because everyone is interconnected. And this naturally leads us to a vital question for each of us, doesn't it? How does my behavior affect others? Often in ways we might not immediately see.
Absolutely. What stands out there is the profound and direct link forged between individual integrity and the overall health of the social fabric. It's undeniable. These examples vividly illustrate how trust, that crucial social currency when it's eroded by unethical behavior, can have widespread and deeply damaging impacts on the collective. It's not just about one person's choice, is it? It's about the foundational principles upon which our communities, even nations, are built. It really raises questions about the social contract we all live by.
Okay, so let's explore how this sense of responsibility then extends, how it moves beyond our immediate circles into the wider community. Our sources highlight the vital importance of young people getting involved, actively participating in social responsibility projects. Why does this participation matter so much? Well, as the material explains, it helps young people develop essential skills. That's one thing. But it also allows them to contribute meaningfully to their environment. And fundamentally, it represents an investment in the future. In future leaders, future citizens. There's a personal example shared about joining a school environmental club. They campaigned for plastic waste reduction. This experience, it didn't just educate them deeply about environmental harm. It also brought the joy of creating change together, that feeling of collective action. And key areas for youth engagement identified by the source. Things like environmental protection, supporting the elderly, educational equality. These are highlighted as critical for the long-term healthy and fair development of society. They point to systemic issues needing ongoing civic engagement. So let's delve into this next point. Is healthy living purely a personal choice? Or does it carry a broader shared responsibility for the community? Our sources argue quite emphatically that healthy living extends beyond just personal preference. It is, in fact, a societal responsibility. The reasoning is pretty clear. Healthy individuals contribute more robustly to society. They're more productive. And, importantly, they place significantly less burden on public health systems. That's a big factor. An example provided is a father who prioritizes exercise and healthy eating. Okay, so this makes him more efficient at work, less prone to illness, which then positively affects not just his family, but his colleagues, the broader economy too. The source also points to the pandemic, a stark recent illustration of how individual health choices, like wearing masks, getting vaccinated, became a clear, undeniable part of our social responsibility.
Right. And when we connect this to the broader concept of civic duty, we really see how individual well-being is intrinsically linked to collective well-being. This perspective unveils a whole dimension of social ethics that extends even to our personal health choices. It shifts the paradigm, doesn't it? Moves it from purely individualistic health to a more communal understanding. It touches on public health ethics, where individual actions directly impact the resilience and capacity of the entire society.
Okay, so how then should a globally aware citizen act when they're confronted with the immense scale of global problems? It can feel overwhelming. The sources underscore that first we must be diligently informed. We need to know what's going on. And then, crucially, we must consciously apply that knowledge in our daily lives. That's the bridge between awareness and action. The climate crisis is highlighted, naturally, as a major global issue where responsibility undeniably rests with everyone. No escaping that. Specific, actionable steps are suggested. Things like conserving electricity and water at home. Simple things, participating in local tree planting initiatives, consciously reducing plastic use, opting for public transport or cycling more often, and importantly, using social media responsibly. To raise awareness, help others become informed, turning personal platforms into tools for collective good. The powerful message here is that while these global problems are vast, complex, small individual steps can indeed make a big difference. Being a sensitive citizen means cultivating a mindset that considers the world beyond just yourself, recognizing our place in a much larger ecosystem. Now, here's a particularly intriguing point raised by the sources. This question of ethical responsibility between wealthy nations and economically developing ones. The material argues pretty strongly that richer countries absolutely bear an ethical responsibility here. Why? Well, largely because they consume a disproportionate share of global resources and contribute more significantly to environmental impact. Think high fossil fuel consumption leading to global warming, for example. And this responsibility, it extends to actively supporting economic growth and improving the quality of life in developing countries. This can be achieved through targeted aid in crucial areas like health, education, infrastructure development. An example cited is wealthy countries providing funds for education and health projects for children in Africa. Concrete support. The core idea is that such aid doesn't just foster global justice and peace, though that's huge. It's framed as an ethical imperative for wealthier nations, an imperative to acknowledge and share this responsibility for a more equitable, more sustainable world.
Exactly. And what's particularly profound about this global perspective is how it fundamentally broadens our understanding of ethical obligations. It really pushes the boundaries, challenges us to move beyond narrow national borders, doesn't it? To embrace a shared planetary citizenship and a collective responsibility for our global future. This brings into play concepts like distributive justice on a global scale and the idea that our moral sphere, it extends far beyond our immediate geographic or political boundaries.
So, what does all this mean for some of the biggest ethical debates happening right now on the global stage? Our sources pinpoint climate change and environmental pollution as definitely among the most pressing, the most widely debated global ethical issues of our time. I mean, these issues affect people, all living beings, worldwide. We see it manifested in increasingly extreme weather, devastating wildfires, rising sea levels. The sources argue unequivocally, everyone must take responsibility. It's a shared burden. Governments have a crucial role, obviously, reducing fossil fuel use, investing heavily in renewable energy. But individuals must also step up, reduce energy consumption, prioritize recycling. Furthermore, the material suggests schools can play a vital role in raising environmental awareness from a young age. And broader awareness campaigns can be launched within communities, fostering that collective understanding and action. The powerful concluding thought from the sources on this: combating climate change is an ethical imperative, full stop, for both societies and individuals. It's presented as this crucial, non-negotiable effort to ensure we leave a livable, thriving world for future generations. Okay, finally, let's reflect a bit on how our diverse cultures shape our understanding of right and wrong. This is fascinating. Do our different cultural backgrounds inherently impact what we perceive as ethical? Our sources explain that cultural differences do indeed significantly influence ethical values. Makes sense, right? It's primarily because every society develops its own unique history, religious traditions, social structures. This rich tapestry of influences, well, it naturally impacts what people within that culture consider right or wrong. For instance, some societies might prioritize strong family bonds, collective responsibilities above almost everything else, while others might put more emphasis on individual freedom and autonomy. So this means that ethical understandings won't be identical across the board, they just can't be. The source even notes that while, say, lying might be strictly unacceptable in all situations in one culture, small lies for good, maybe what we call white lies, might sometimes be tolerated in another context, if the intention is seen as benign. And these differences, understandably, they can create challenges in international relations and global cooperation that can lead to misunderstandings. However, the source reminds us, and this is key, that fundamental ethical values like justice, respect, honesty, they serve as powerful, universal principles that can, and really should, unite us across cultural divides.
That's such an important point. This discussion really raises a profound question about that interplay between universal ethical principles and cultural relativism. How do we responsibly navigate these diverse perspectives? How do we acknowledge that what's right can have different expressions, different nuances? How do we find that common ground needed for global cooperation while simultaneously appreciating the richness that cultural differences bring to our collective understanding of what it means to live ethically? It's about seeking those underlying shared values, I think, even amidst all the surface level variations. It's a delicate balance.
It really is. So we've journeyed today from, well, the ethics of a single choice in a school canteen, all the way to the vast interconnected responsibilities we hold towards huge global issues like climate change and the well-being of entire nations. This deep dive, for me, really reinforces a crucial insight. Ethics isn't passive. It's not something you just have. It's active, it's inherently interconnected, and it demands continuous evaluation, constant engaged participation from each and every one of us. It's really a lifelong practice, isn't it? Not some fixed state you arrive at. So considering everything we've unpacked today, the personal compass, digital dilemmas, civic duty, global responsibility, those cultural nuances, here's something to think about. Where in your own daily life can you identify an unspoken ethical dilemma? Maybe a situation where silence feels a bit like complicity. And reflecting on that, what small, clear step might you take to respond to it? Something to mull over.